So recently you graduated from UCLA. What degree did you end up pursuing?
Yeah, I got my BA in psychology.
Yes.
So that's that. But I had to go back to school for my master's and stuff. But I minored in evolutionary medicine, which sounds really cool. But basically, it's just like a public health minor.
Okay. And then what are you planning to do with that? Like, what do you want to do with your degree? Do you want to
do later? I think so. I want to get my master's in social work, which is basically it's psychology, but I can apply it to like many other things. So if I want to do like policy and law, I can do that too.
Look at you, yeah.
So I'm like, if I get bored of like clinical work, or if I get really burnt out, which is something I'm kind of concerned about, I can like do that, or I can go back and be like a professor at a CC or something.
But that's good because you have like different opportunities to choose from, like different interests, which is really, really dope.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I'm a basic hoe. Like, I'm just an actress. That's all I got. It just says I could kind of act. That's it. No, but you know, as like us as college students, you know, we did a lot of like struggles and responsibilities. You know, priorities and like balancing work, life, school. But was mental health a priority for you, or was it something that you were really aware of? Or?
Yeah. So the thing too, like once I started, so I was 18 when I started college. I did a summer bridge program in between high school and like college. And I didn't know it, but I was like in the middle of like a major depressive episode, like right as that started. So I literally could not go to class and function without my mental health, because I was already depleted like from senior year and like taking all these AP classes and balancing like extracurriculars, applying to college, maintaining social relationships, everything else. I wasn't taught how to do that and how to prioritize that. It was always like grind, go to school, work, do all that. So like literally I couldn't even function by the time I like got to campus, really.
So it was just really like difficult for you, because that's something that you like, it was in a way, is it considered for you as like it was like a habit, that it was just like, you know, your mental health wasn't really a priority, it was just like something just on like, I didn't even know what mental health was. That makes sense. I get you.
I was like wait a minute, like I can't get out of bed today and I have to go to class. You know? So it was like all of high school I burnt myself out so much to try to get to where I was at, like to get to UCLA. And then I got to UCLA, it's like you finish a marathon and you have to run like a marathon that's twice as long. Yeah. And I'm like, oh shoot, like
what's gonna
like I can't even get up.
No,
and I gave myself maybe like a month break to kind of like chill out, but I was just binge watching Netflix at that point, like not eating and showering and doing and like this, and I wasn't aware of like, oh, this is like not normal. So then I got to campus, we had our orientation and they kind of just told us like, if you ever need help or if you're feeling like this, go here. And I was like, oh, maybe I should go.
I should go and try it out.
I was like, so that was it. I didn't know what mental health was. I was like, what is this? Or it was a little scary, for sure, but I'd had like a major depressive episode before when I was 11, so I was kind of aware of things and it wasn't too scary going back to therapy. But it was definitely like, it's so different balancing your life when you're 11 compared to when you're 18.
Very different.
So I literally had to relearn everything. I had to isolate from like some social relationships for a while just to get myself back to normal, really. So
which is like, I mean, it's very important, because it's like how can you do that worrying about those kinds of things when you're not okay yourself?
Like literally I wasn't eating, I wasn't showering, I wasn't doing anything. I was just numbing with Netflix, because that was like my coping mechanism at the time. So that's why like when people say that they're binge watching, I'm like, just it's like, okay, like are you looking, and you want to like check out for your people too. So do you feel like, as in for mental health, what you were mentioning, sometimes students are not really aware of it, or sometimes they don't even have it as a priority. How important do you believe, as in for our culture or community or society, to bring up and start a conversation with mental health? From your point of view? So the thing about like Latinos is that you go to therapy and they're like, oh, like, what's wrong with you? Estás loca? What's going on? It's like, when was the last time you went to church? That was a question.
I know.
That was that was a question that was always asked. And I'm like, no, like, I need help. You know, like, I need to see someone, because no amount of, like, praying is really, I can't pray
to pray to get better,
I can't pray this away. You have to, like, really work actively on some things. So, yeah, it was just really, really difficult navigating that. It's not a part of our culture, I think, so...
Yeah, no, I totally agree. That's what actually goes into our next question, is about how did you bring up with your family? Because, you know, sometimes I have difficulties talking about with my family, you know, especially barriers, you know, because my family are like how you mentioned, like, you know, for me it became a habit. It was just like, you know, if you did this or that, like, that's nothing, you know, I have done this, you know, so it just made me think, like, oh, I'm just being a little, like, mean, like, a little, like, you know, baby about it, and I should just get over it.
Right.
But really, it was just more than that, and I feel that, you know, something was so difficult for me was to break those barriers. So how did you bring up those conversations with your family, friends, and loved ones to break those barriers? Yeah. In your point of view?
And that's a hard one, too, because when you're going through it, you need to reach out. Right. Yeah. So, something that I learned in my coursework is that, like, minorities and Latinos, you don't see the I, you see the we. I cannot see myself and my identity without thinking of my parents, my brother, my family, my cousins. It just doesn't exist. When I think of me, I think of everyone else in my life. Yeah. And in other cultures, it's, like, me first and then everyone else. Everyone else is, like, an adage or, like, like a plus. For me, it's, like, I don't exist without...
I honestly feel the same way, because I mean, for me, it's just that's the person I am is the people around me shape me to who I am today, you know, and it's just like the little inputs with that. I mean, that's just my point of view and how I, you know, shape me, and that's like what you said, like, you know, identifies it's like all of us, you know,
and like even to this day, like we graduated 4 years ago, and I still think like of that community. Yes. Even if I haven't talked to people in like 4 or 5 years or something, I still think of them, and I still, whatever time we share together, it's still connected. It's still connected.
Like, what's that? I know, exactly. No, because I mean, so it's kind of hard to think without those people, because they played an important part of our lives. Yeah. You know, hey, you guys, welcome to Across the Tongue. It's Leilani. We started the conversation without you guys, but I'm actually here with Estrella, and we were just actually having a conversation about, you know, mental health. So the thing I really want to ask you is, you know, what was your journey dealing with mental health issues, and where did it all start for you?
So we're going to go back to, like, I don't even know what year. I should have looked up what year.
Like, year this one.
Like, year 2003. I don't know. I had my first major depressive episode when I was 11. And it's like, you don't really think about that, because that transition from like elementary school to middle school is huge for me. And you look back and it's like, well, it wasn't that big of a deal, right? Yeah. But that's when I literally had to go to therapy for about 6 months just to like deal with that. Because I started like not functioning. I was like throwing up every single morning. I didn't know it, and we didn't know it at the time, but I also had a general anxiety disorder too. So I went from like Nova Vista, which was like really small community. I knew everyone. It was close to my house, to Nimitz, which was huge. I didn't know most people. Nimitz is huge. And then I'd heard like so many anecdotes from my cousins saying like, oh, you're gonna get beat up, this and this is gonna happen. Someone else was like shanked in this corner, there was a shooting or a drive-by or something. So I was like, what am I doing? Like, I'm going from this like little safe haven school to like this giant place. And then like all of my closest friends from that school didn't go with me to Nimitz. We all went. So like scattered. We all were scattered around like Downey or Paramount or everywhere else.
All those areas.
Everywhere else. So I was like literally like by myself. Like I didn't
like isolated.
Like I knew people from like other grades and stuff, but I wasn't like close to them at the time. So that transition, I went through that by myself. And then my older brother was moving out too, so he was kind of like my second dad.
You were going through like a lot of things.
A lot of things are changing. He was like one of my primary like emotional caregivers per se. So he was home a little bit more than my dad. So he was moving out, and then like changing schools, and like my little brother was also starting to go to school, so he wasn't a baby anymore. Like
it's just like, a lot of changes were happening in your life, and it was really like affecting.
And the thing is like not to put myself down, like they weren't huge things, like they were life transitions that just kind of had to happen, but I did not have the tools to like deal with that.
Exactly. I mean like there were a lot of changes, but to adapt to them, I bet they were difficult to do. And to like continue. I mean, it's just it's a shift in your life.
Yeah.
And it's like kind of a way, like, you know, you were losing all those, you know, people, and it's just like, wow, now I have to become independent.
And like I had to start over.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to do that because from like my entire life up to that point, everything was really consistent. Same school, same friends, same home layout, same everything.
Yeah.
Things are shifting. And I'm just a very, very sensitive person. So if I eat something that like doesn't sit well with me, immediately I start to feel the impacts of it. Or if I don't sleep enough one day, immediately I start to feel that. So I'm very, very like sensitive to like all these changes.
Yeah.
So what one person might be like, oh, it's not a big deal. For me, it's like twice as big of a deal.
No, yeah. I mean, everyone is different, and everything that's going on. No, because I totally understand where you're coming from. Like, you know, especially with changes, as far as in changes, you know, my dad, you know, left me at a young age. He left me when I was like I believe 9 or 10, and you know, for a while I never understood until now, you know, years later, but I never understood why he left. Yeah. And you know, a lot of people, you know, when your kids are like, who else's dad hasn't left? You know, like in the Latino community, that's what it's seen as, like, oh, who, like, you know, everyone's dad leaves, you know, kind of seen as that.
Like, deal with it.
But it really took a toll on me because I never knew the truth and why he left. I always blamed myself into thinking it was my fault, or maybe I wasn't a good enough kid, or something like that. Yeah. So I really blamed myself. And, you know, as years went by, I met someone else. I met someone. You know, I met my ex-boyfriend, and I was 15 years old. And, you know, I went through an abusive relationship. I was with them for 10 months and went through the physical and mental abuse for 6 months. And, you know, when I was going through it, you know, I wasn't so sure, you know, when he physically abused me the first time, I tried to go out to tell people. I begged teachers. I you know, I told you earlier, like there was 8 teachers I knew, and I begged 3 of those teachers to call my mom. I gave them my information, everything. What did they do? Nothing. They like helped him out and everything, and it just he kept on reminding me, and he kept on telling me, it's your fault. You deserve this. Everything that's coming to you, you deserve it because it's your fault. And I really accepted that because I never knew why my dad left. I never knew why. So I had that mentality, like, you know, my father left me because of this. It's my fault. I'm being physically and mentally abused, and it's my fault. So I went through that for a while until I got into college, and I didn't know I was not okay. I didn't know my signs. Yeah. The only time, you know, was like later on, but it was difficult. It was like what you said, it was so normalized. Like, it was normal for someone to get beaten up or to be abused or sexually assaulted, and like that's what it seemed. So I thought that maybe what I was going through was dramatic. It was just a joke. You know, that actually goes into our next question, which is, when did you first, you know, notice that you weren't okay? What were the signs?
Yeah, so both of my, like, major episodes are completely different. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So, like, 11 was very, very, like, well, I was like a child, right? So I was acting out a lot. So it was like just really like yelling and screaming a lot at my parents, or just being really irritable. And then going to school, and like literally I do this thing of like I just don't talk, right? No, so I just like I do my work, I submit everything, I pay attention, but I just don't talk. And it's like I'm not socialize. Or I like dissociate, and I like I'll just daydream my day away, right? So that was it. And with the anxiety, it was like literally I would wake up and the first thing I would do is throw up. And it's like, it wasn't like an eating disorder, it was just anxiety. And it was like those like hormones and stuff just wanting to be flushed out of my body first thing in the morning. So that was really, really different. And then I'd just get home and I'd just be crying like uncontrollably. I'm like, Mom, help me. Yeah. And then she, like, after a week or two, she's like, okay, like, you really she thought it was like I just needed time to adjust, because I did that in preschool too. I also would like throw up and like cry for like 2 weeks when I adjusted.
So this actually happened in different periods of your time. Yeah, you know, like when you're younger, and then, you know,
literally whenever I change schools or move houses or whatever, I go through like weeks of like just crying, throwing up, and I'm like, why am I like it's like, not it's not like, I feel like it's not like a
like you're sick or you have the flu. It's not like that at all. It's something that was,
it's just like weird changes where I'm trying to figure out what it is exactly, and I'm still trying to figure out, because they're good changes. It's like I went from going home, like I have really supportive, loving parents, And then I go to a really good supporting school, and then I move to another good supporting school, and then I go to, like, a really great college.
Yeah.
Why am I, like, crying and throwing up and, like, doing all these things, right? When there's supposed to be really, really good changes.
Yes.
But just literally change itself. Like, I'm just really sensitive to it, and I have to take care of myself, like, twice as good to, like, deal with it.
Make sure,
so, yeah, so that was different. 18 was, like, the opposite. So 11 was very heightened. It was very, like, crying, throwing up. 18 is like not eating, not showering, don't talk to me, I'm not gonna be on my phone, I'm gonna like watch Grey's Anatomy for 18 hours a day and then not sleep at night. And it was like completely the opposite. So because it was so different, it took me twice as long to acknowledge it.
Really?
So
do you think that some of the things that happened in your past, it just changed and adapted and new things started coming up more? Do you feel like it gotten worse, or did it, or what was it for you?
It was, I don't even know. Like, it's so different.
Yeah.
So I want to say, like, younger is, like, very, very anxiety driven.
Yeah.
Because anxiety is very heightened.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly, yeah.
And then I think, like, I went so high up that it had to, like, come down to, like, balance itself out. Yeah. It's like, girl, you gotta chill.
Yeah.
You gotta chill. We're gonna give you a break. But it was so different. So, like, it was actually kind of a relief that before, like, if I was so dramatic and, like, crying all the time, if I could just, like, not feel anything, that was a great break. I'm not gonna lie. That felt really good because it's like, oh, at least I'm not, like, throwing up every time I go into a lecture hall.
Yeah.
I'm not listening or paying attention, but I'm, like,
it's not like,
Yeah, so I didn't realize, like, being numb isn't good either. It's the opposite of being super, like, heightened and stuff.
Yeah.
But it took me, like, twice as long to acknowledge it. So,
it was, like, very difficult because it's like what you said. It's like it was, like, normalized, and it's just, like, you didn't know until you started discovering these things, like, oh, no, I'm not okay.
Yeah.
Like, there's something wrong.
Like, one day I literally woke up and I was like, I literally do not want to get out of bed. I was walking around this beautiful sunny campus, and I felt like I had this gray-black cloud over me, and I was like, wait a minute, I felt this before.
Yeah,
and then I walked myself over to the counseling center, like, right that moment.
And you just, like, went instantly to get, like, the, like, you know, like, professional help you needed.
Yeah.
No, because for me, I didn't notice my, you know, that I wasn't okay was, it's like I said, you know, for a while it was just normalized.
Right.
I didn't know until I was at my lowest point, which when I was attempting to commit suicide, because by then that was the time I've never, you know, I didn't see him after that, where it's just like, I thought, you know, no one is taking me seriously, no one cares, no one wants to save me from this. I begged people, I begged teachers, staffs, nearly everybody. No one did anything, so I just thought maybe I'm better off dead. Like, no one really cares for me anymore. I don't have a reason to live. But, you know, it's hard now as I'm older, you know, it's just to see that at that moment I wasn't okay. It's just, it really gets to me because it's just like, I wish that wasn't the first sign. I wish I didn't have to normalize that. You know, I'm trying to, like, exactly. Yeah. So which was very difficult to say, and, like, it was hard. And the thing is, the next thing I want to say is, like, you know, in your case, was your family supportive, or did you tell your friends, or what was their reaction of what was going on with you?
So, I guess, like, when I was 11 and stuff, like, my mom had to drive me to therapy every week, right? So she had to be very involved and pay for it and stuff. So that was cool, but it was, like, not something we talked about, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know, like, compared to how the culture is now, like, everyone's like, oh, I did this in therapy and this and that.
Yeah, now it is. Before it wasn't back then.
Now it's, like, kind of, like, not cool, but, like, it's like, oh, cool, like, you're taking care of yourself, good. But back then I was like, you're gonna go, you're gonna do what's good for you, and then just don't, like, tell anyone about it. So then
I was seeing this negative thing.
Yeah, it was like, so then, and I had to have this conversation with my parents when I'm older, and I'm like, you guys didn't fail because you had to take me to therapy. Like, you guys, like, excelled because you guys were able to recognize it, and you were able to give me the help. It's just, we needed help. Like, we needed, like, an outsider, because we don't know how to, like, how to do
understand
these things, right? And even me, if I get, like, my master's and stuff, like, I can't treat my children if I have kids. You know, like, it has to be an objective
someone else
person. Like, you know, so it's not the training, or they didn't fail. But yeah, once I was older and it was, like, my responsibility, and I was taking, like, myself to therapy and stuff, I think it was, like, I don't know, like crying on the couch one day or just like zoning out, and then my dad finally came. He's like, you're not okay. What's going on? So then I told him, and I like had like a breakdown there, and I told him everything, and he's like, I don't know what therapy is. But if it helps you, go to it. If you need money, I'm here for it. You know, like if it's something that helps you, do what you have to do. And if you need me for anything, like, you know, do that. And my mom too, she's like, if you want to talk about things afterwards, if you have any questions about things that you don't remember, because I tend to like black out and like not remember details and stuff. Like a lot, like chunks of like
memories and things.
They're just like not
black
there.
Out. Like, where did they go?
Yeah. And those are signs of like your emotions like just not being balanced and stuff, or you're not connected to your body. So I'll like call my mom like, hey, what happened like this and this like during this year, and she's like, oh, like there's a home video if you want to watch it, or I remember this and this, or your tia, like this happened, let me call her. So that was really helping in like my healing, like my healing process, which my healing process has been literally the last 4 years. I've been like just learning how to connect with myself. So yeah, that was helpful. And then I joined a sorority like right when I started college, which is really, really good. For me, like there's a lot of like negative like connotations and stories, and trust me,
we heard them all. No, I actually am. I joined a sorority too when I got into college too, and there's a lot of like misunderstanding or things, or something like that.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that those things don't happen, because they do, unfortunately. But I was lucky enough that I had a really good experience. So I was the youngest that joined, and all the girls are older, 2 or 3 years older than me, and they were all like from Sella, Southeast LA. It's like Bell Alumni, Maywood, Southeast, like all these schools. So they were literally my big sisters, and we came from like the same like
thing.
We're locals, right? Like we all came from the same area. So whenever I had like an anxiety attack and I couldn't make it to meeting, they'd come to my dorm.
And just see if you're okay.
Yeah,
no.
And I needed that so much, because it's so different from like high school. Like you have your friends and stuff, but like in college, when you can literally go visit your friends and hang out with them, and like you don't have to like rely on transportation or anything like that was like really, really cool to have that.
Like it was very close, because it was like on campus, right? So it was just everyone was close, and that's something which was hard to get in high school, because everyone lived in different parts. And it's like what you said.
Or your mom is like, no, I have to meet their mom before you
let them
go to your house. It's like no sleepovers. And
I gotta get to know them first.
I was having sleepovers like every week. It's like we're gonna do face masks and take care of ourselves.
Oh my god, yes.
After meetings, they literally come by and like bring me Gatorade, saltines. Are you okay? Give me a hug. If I wanted to do like an activity with them and like knit or whatever,
it's just like
we could do that. So that was like the support, and I had to tell them, hey, I can't make it to meeting. And at first I was like, oh, I didn't study for like a final, and then I was like, oh no, I have to tell them, like,
I gotta let them know why.
I had to let them know what's going on and start that conversation. And then once I did, everyone else opened up too, and we could have those conversations,
which is really good, because you break those barriers, and then you could openly express your feelings as much as you want and whatever you can, because and
it feels good. Like once you are honest, and like after I have an attack, like I sweat, I get cold sweats, and it's like I just had the flu in like 2 minutes essentially, like if you compress all of those feelings into like a really short amount of time. So when I was having my bigger ones, I couldn't like get out of my room for like a couple days. So just being able to like have that support there was like crucial. So
no, because I mean, for me it was kind of difficult, because when it came out, I mean now it's so much better, but when everything came out, you know, my mom didn't know how to balance the support, because it was hard, because she never got, you know, she never went to go see a therapist and stuff like that, so it was kind of hard to balance it. And when she did, she started, you know, really like helping me. Like now she's like the amazing mom. Like, you know, obviously she was an amazing mom back then too. Yeah. But it's just like, you know, my mom was learning too, and because she was going through her own struggles, and I was too, and because of that, of my incident, we were able to break those barriers and come closer, even though it was at the lowest point. You know, we became very supportive and open with each other more, especially with my friends and my loved ones. Like, you know, now that I came out of that, I can openly express my feelings about it, which sometimes it's hard. I will admit, it's difficult, queens, but No, but it's hard. It's hard. Yeah, but once you find, like you said, like, you know, when you find your group of people and you're, you know, and you open with each other, it's just like those barriers are like gone. They're breaking down. Exactly. The next question I really want to ask you is, you know, in your opinion, you know, as in like, as us, you know, college student, you know, in high school and middle school, do you think there was a lot of awareness about, like, you know, mental health or provides any reason? I like how you're like, no, queen, no.
Nothing.
Like, or like with students, like, what do you, how was it? Because, I mean, we both went to the same high school for, I mean, people that are watching, yeah, what's up?
Choose one song.
Yeah, I know, right? No, but it was the same high school, you know, but how was it in your point of view, you know, as far as in mental health awareness?
Yeah, oh, jeez. Literally, for my K through 12, the only mental health anything that I got was, I think in 6th grade, my mom referred me first to the school psychologist on campus at Nimitz, and I got 2 to 3 hours of sessions with her, and that was it. And that's when I think they caught me before I started cutting and engaging, like, all these other self-behaviors. Like, I was thinking about, like, more self-destructive behaviors. So she caught that, and she's like, oh, when you cut, all it does is your body releases these, like, chemicals to your brain to make you feel better, but that's not the solution, because you have to talk it out to feel better. Yeah. And that's pretty much all I remember, but I know I saw her multiple times, and it was checking in on me, but also giving me mental health education. Yeah. But that was because, like, it wasn't, like, the school provided that. It was, like, I was a high crisis like student because I was like ditching PE or I was like throwing up all the time. The teachers were starting to like notice all these behaviors.
Like what was going on?
Yeah, so then when they started like asking me, and I did have some like like suicidal ideation and stuff at the time too. So then that's when they intervened, and that was it. So that was it. And then like my therapist, like in the outpatient center, I think it was like Gage and Heliotrope, he provided like more education and like more tools and stuff, but like K through 12 education, that was it. And that was only because I was like a super high risk student at the point, you know. Otherwise, like in high school I took AP psychology, but like first of all it was the first year offered, it was our senior year. You had to be
hella last minute when we're getting all the good stuff.
Hella last minute, but it helped me pick out my major, so that worked. But like, and then you had to be a magnet, so it's not access
to everybody. That's what
it wasn't.
That's another tea on another day about that school. Let me just tell you that. I was so pissed about it because sorry, that's another thing, but go on. Sorry.
No, like, and it sucks because it just sucks. Like, it should be accessible to everyone. You shouldn't have to, like, have all these privileges to get into the magnet in the first place. And then have space for it. Because I think it was, like, one lecture for, like, 30 students or something. Even then. So that sucked. And we spent a lot of time, but it was talking about, like, the clinical stuff. But I don't think we got any education, like, self-care and stuff, because that wasn't really quite out yet, and it wasn't part of the curriculum, and I don't think they could teach that, even like if they wanted to. So that sucks. But I'm like, even like our like physical education, there was no mental health unit.
None at all. If you had something I had a teacher, right, that focused about like, it was supposed to be like physical health. Dude, okay, so there's this teacher, hella gangster, hella cholo. It was supposed to be, literally, I didn't learn nothing in that class because every single day he would talk about, you know, I used to shoot people back in my day, and you know, I'm a gangster straight up, I'm dating a 28 or 25-year-old woman, I don't know. I was just like, what just happened?
That was our physical education.
That's our school.
That was our physical education. That's all we got. And it was like one semester, because the second semester was like independent studies or something. Which is like learning how to take multiple choice tests. And I'm like, so even like the 1 year of like physical ed we were supposed to get was cut down, and then further cut down because our lectures weren't like productive. And they couldn't, and then even if you do look at the curriculum, they can't teach certain things. So that's really restrictive, and that's something I want to do, like with my career, is like help add mental health units to physical education. So in some exactly. In whatever it's gonna seem like
queen,
I'm gonna be like 90 fighting for this, like,
put it in. For me, I mean, well, for me, and I feel like they did show awareness in other departments, but as far as mental health, it's like you said, really lacked of it. You know, as like what you said, as in like classrooms or lectures and us teaching it. Nothing. I remember we would have banners, anti-bullying, and then they would have those rallies, but no one made speeches, not a staff or teacher.
We weren't educated on
especially when we had a banner, which really got to me the most was Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault Awareness Month. And I was in a program, which I cannot say because this program is actually still going on for some reason. No, I'm just kidding. No, but, in this program, they wanted to perform a domestic violent scene with these students in our class.
That's the most triggering thing I've ever heard.
You should have seen me, queen. You should have seen me, queen. Because I was just sitting. God. I was sitting right there, and they're talking about it, and they're not taking it seriously because they're not professional. They're students, and a staff is relying on them to create this scene because the whole scene was to get this fake couple, put them in the middle of the quad and see who's gonna come out and stop the beating or the hurting or whatever, the fighting, right? And it got to me because they weren't taking it seriously. I mean, we were kids. I was like junior year in high school. We were kids, and it's just like these are meant for professional people, or like if they were gonna do it, it triggered me and it hurt me because I'm not gonna lie to you, I have been put in those situations, like, where the quad is at, where, where all the popular kids are and the jocks. I was right there in the middle. And it did take one person to stop it. But it happened multiple times.
Yeah, because you see it as normal.
Yeah, and it's just like, it's like you said, it was normal. And it was really getting to me because it was just like, it's just like, this is considered a joke. And I just skipped because I was just like, I am right. I am a joke. That really convinced me. And and it's just like they didn't perform that scene, thank God, but it should tell like how lack of it was and how that wasn't even taken seriously, which really affected me like personally. But the next thing I actually want to ask you is how was your journey with the struggle with your mental health and compared to let me evaluate that question. How was your journey on handling your struggles on your own compared to seeing a psychiatrist and seeing a therapist? Because for me it was very different because for a while I was dealing with it on my own, and like I said, everything was normal, everything was just like a habit, like this is my way of life. It wasn't until I went to college. I went to San Francisco, and I lived out there for 4 years. It was difficult because it was, I could start new. Like no one knows who I am. I could be myself, and I'm accepted for who I am. Yeah. And because of that, it was hard for me because it's just like I really forced myself to be like, I'm a joke. It's all my fault. I'm this person. I'm seen as this identity. Right. And it was hard to make that transition. And, it was so hard doing it by myself. And I thought I was an awful person for not being strong enough. Being like, oh, this is what a strong person's supposed to do it on your own. But it wasn't the case. No. And, like, my mother and my sister stepped in and really, my partner at the time really stepped in and just, took me to therapy because I wasn't getting better. I was, I wasn't eating. I wasn't talking. I was very quiet. I would sit in the corner. I would wake up screaming or something, like I have PTSD. So if people touch me a certain way or if I feel a certain way, like I start screaming or like freaking out or crying, and it's just like getting that help really helped me find where I was going. Because I didn't have control of my life. It was so difficult. And once I saw a therapist, I was able to know what was going on and to steer in the right direction. Even though it was going to take progress and it was going to take time, at least I knew where I was going, and and I knew every step of the way what I can do. Yeah. And I feel like that's how it was for me. But how was it for you?
So then, going back to your question, like, how is it being on your own versus...
doing it on your own, with your struggles with mental health compared to, like, seeing a therapist.
So being on my own, it's difficult. It's really, really hard because at least for me, like, I have such negative self-talk. It's so, like, even to this day, it's, like, the major thing that I'm working on in therapy right now. Yeah. And it's the thing I have to journal about, like, every single day. So it's, like, you're not working hard enough. You would have gotten this degree instead if you tried hard enough. This is why you didn't get that job, because you didn't do this and you didn't submit it on time, or you didn't try hard enough, or that quarterback freshman year, like, you could have joined this other org and that could have, like, helped you get this right? Or even like in social situations, like this person doesn't like you, or this they're watching you, or they hate you, like whatever. Like literally it plagues my mind, and it always has. So being on my own, it's that's like my automatic setting. It's so negative, and it's so sad because I try to come out in like my other relationships and be very positive when I can, but I can't do that for myself.
It's hard.
It's so hard. And once I kind of realized that, I like broke my heart a little bit, and I was like, okay, I need someone to like get in my brain with me, hold my hand, and then help me figure this out. So yeah, just being on your own, it's really, really difficult. But again, like throughout this time, I've kind of helped educate and like tell my loved ones and like friends and whoever, like, hey, whenever this and this is going on, please check up on me. Yeah. Or like when I go home for vacations, if my mom notices like, have you showered in 2 or 3 days? I'm like, oh shoot, no.
Like, oh yeah, that's right.
Or like she's like, you didn't eat dinner, and then for me it's really easy to go like 22 hours like without eating, and I'll eat like one small meal and then go back to it. And my mom's like, you haven't eaten all day. You know, what, like, are you still seeing a therapist right now? Do you want me to go take you to a session? Like, what's going on? So my mom's really, really good at that.
That's good.
Like, they check up on me.
Which is really, really good.
Because it's so hard to do that for yourself.
It's so difficult.
Because you're not at a state where you can keep up with that. You know?
It's like sometimes it's not, sometimes it's not a priority sometimes. And it's hard because you're busy thinking about other things. It's a lot of balancing.
Yeah,
and everything.
For sure.
Yeah,
so just keeping aware of that, and then like my friends and my roommates and stuff just kind of like, they'll notice like, hey, you haven't done this and this, or hey, you've been going out every single night. Are you okay? Like, what's going on? So, and it helps too that I'm a psych major, so most of my friends are psych majors, and we're all aware of that. But even just like the culture on campus has changed so much in like the first 4, like from 2015 to now, where like everyone's pretty aware of it. Yeah. So that helps, because it's really hard to keep yourself accountable, and it's so hard to be aware when your awareness it's like cloudy when you're in those states.
And it's very good to have those people that are close to you to have those checks, which are really, really good. So
that helps out a lot. And then the professional help, it's just like someone literally sitting down with you and being like, okay, you're beating yourself up about this is a reality. And then when I hear it from them, I believe it. When I hear it from myself, I'm like, no, that's not true.
No, it's true.
And it could be the same thing that I journaled, but hearing it from someone else is like really validating. So that still helps me out today. So yeah, but we need everything. You need community, you need professional help, you need to take care of yourself.
Which is very hard to get sometimes, because it's just like you never think about it with yourself, like, oh, do I need it or do I don't? Am I over exaggerating, or do I really need it? Which is really hard to do. That's why it's so important to have, that supportive group, but really sit down and think like, what's going on? Like, question yourself and everything that's going. The next thing I want to ask you is, what do you think about do you think mental health is something that you can overcome and move on from? It's just like, oh, tomorrow I'm fabulous and I'm fabulous for the rest of my days? Or do you think it's a work in progress and it's going to take time? Because that's something I struggled with. Right. I really thought after my abusive relationship, I just wanted to be that normal girl that no one knew. Like, no one knew her
forever for the next 7 years.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like, no one knew her. Like, she's just there. I wanted to be that girl so much. But after that incident, it was hard because it was on my back and everyone saw me that way. Yeah. So I had to be like, if nothing happened, I got over it and I was just like, oh, hey, blah, blah, blah. And I went on with my day. And I really was hating myself because I'm like I started doing things like, like I started like being very like twitchy or like a lot of things that like like PTSD, like I had a lot of triggers, and I didn't understand why, and I was just like, why am I not getting better? Like,
this was like 6 years ago. Why is it still
is it exactly. So how was it for you, from compared to like is it something that you can get over, or is it something that's a work in progress in your case?
It's the thing that I've accepted is that it's just a part of who I am. Right? So the depression, like, I'm aware I could have way more, like, I don't know how many episodes I might have in my lifetime. Right? It happened once, it could happen again. Same with anxiety. But the thing is that you can definitely overcome your episodes, and you work really, really hard.
It's gonna take a lot of time.
And you have to get that energy out. And you have to like process and deal with it, and you have to like do all the things. So I had to like had to like journal and like meditate and do yoga, and I had to like physically like eat really well and sleep really well, and like that just taking care of myself is a full-time job.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's exhausting. And then trying to like do all these other things and like maintain social relationships and do research and have my job and apply to other jobs, and then sometimes working 2 jobs in a quarter, or like what,
it's so difficult,
and going to school on top of that. It's really hard. But you really like during the hard times you have to prioritize that.
Yes.
So whenever I was in the middle of an episode or something, I had to like either quit the job I was working, or only do volunteer service and like not do research, or put things off, or sometimes I would be a part-time student and just take a couple classes and just focus on that. And I was like lucky enough that I was able to do that.
Balance,
like most of that happened in the beginning of my college career, so I had that flexibility. And then by then I had the tools to where like my other 2 years I was like, okay, like I know this is what I have to do, and I can still like add on these other things and I'm okay. But like right now, like I'm looking for a job. I'm super stressed about that. Oh my God. I'm moving out of like this place and this community I lived in for 4 years. Yeah. Usually,
because that was your second home.
Yeah, I lived there. You know, for 4 years. Yeah. All my friends,
your home.
All my friends moved away. I'm no longer a student. I can't carry that identity with me anymore. Yeah. Usually, that's a breeding ground for depression and stuff. Yeah. It'd be a huge trigger. And trust me, the months leading up to it, I was starting to feel it. But now it's like, okay, I know I have to sleep. I know I have to cut the junk food. I know I have to cut the alcohol. I know I have to, like, even if I do really, really want to go out, if I'm feeling connected to myself, say I'm sorry to my friends, but I'm like, I need this time for myself right now, and like journal and write or do whatever. So this time I'm really taking it to like getting back into my hobbies. So like I really like to cook. I like to play guitar and
I
just
know,
sing.
girl, you're doing a lot of stuff. I'm like, I need to join your classes, queen. No,
I love my hobbies because that connects me to like my soul and spirit per se. Yeah. And then on the weekends I go home and it's just family time
and like, you know,
and catching up on those relationships. So yeah, during your like episodes or where you have a lot of triggers or where there's a lot of change going on, you need to set those routines in. Yes. And you need to like prioritize like if you're a baby, I have to baby myself and be like, this is your bedtime. And I have not been doing a good job of it lately, but it's something that I'm like, okay, next week like we really have to set this in.
Exactly. No, I can relate, because it's like you created this routine in order for, you know, one of those episodes coming. You know, sometimes it happens with me. Sometimes I spoil myself. I'm like, girl, you handled a lot of shit this week. Time for Lush. Just go to Lush, get some bath bombs and everything. You know, like really like self-care, you know, and those like routines, and those are really important. Yeah. You know, like sometimes I did these like weird activities where I went to like a laugh activity or laugh yoga, and then
that sounds amazing,
dude. Honestly,
I try it.
You know, I tried that, or I went to. I actually want to do like cake decorating classes, you know, or paint the night, or like paint like. I don't know what the hell I painted. I painted this weird. I don't even know. I was just filling in the moment like Bob Ross. Yeah. You know, happy accidents or happy mistakes no, but that's how it was for me, and it's just like that's what something I had to realize when I was getting older. Now at 22, graduate from college, it's this big huge transition. You know, I came from San Francisco. Now I'm coming back home permanently. Yeah. It's honestly, I will not lie, for a month it was so difficult. It was, even though they're so close together, it's so insane, but it was so different.
It's a whole different world.
So it's like something to get used to and to adapt to, and it's different than, exactly.
Because you're completely different.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, I'm not the same queen I was last time, but, you know.
Of course.
But with all these things that were going on, what specific part in your life, you know, that your mental health has affected you? You know, like, what affected your friendships, you know,
life,
lovers, and everything overall. I mean, I totally agree.
Yeah, once I started feeling like that, like when thankfully for like college was like, this is me time, and I'm gonna do whatever I need to do to get to the next like phase in my life. No idea what that was gonna be, but it was like these are my selfish years, and like my aunt and my mom like did go to college in Mexico, but they still had to like go home and like tend to like their like 8 siblings and stuff and cook and clean. Yeah. So they didn't really get that privilege, and they're like, you get to leave home. Yeah. You don't have to worry about us because we're able to take care of ourselves. Yeah. These are your selfish years. Mm-hmm. So do whatever.
Enjoy,
like, andas de soltera, do whatever you want, party, whatever, take care of yourself, get your education, do whatever you want. So then I kind of went in with that mindset of like, these are my selfish years. Yeah, I'm gonna use them. So going into that mindset and then realizing like, holy shit, I have to deal with so much. Like, I have to learn how to take care of my body. I didn't know anything about that.
Especially doing laundry, I had no idea how to do that. I was like, what the hell? No, but
yeah, or like your identity, like I went from this like Southeast LA like student to like suddenly going to like this completely different environment.
Oh yeah, I know.
Academic, the imposter syndrome was ridiculous. I still kind of struggle with that. It's like, I'm not supposed to be here, I'm not smart enough, my peers are so much smarter. All of that was difficult. I started taking these pre-med classes, failed all of them, and I was like, well, I guess I'm not gonna be a doctor, so I'm like, bye. So I had to like reshift that identity part too.
Queen, but you're so smart. I mean, like, especially how you were in high school and then to go to UCLA, like, you should give yourself enough credit. I went to SF State. What's up, bitches? But like, you know, school is at least going to school. Exactly. School.
Like, it's hard enough. Like just coming from where we come from to get any education is like, you go. Like, So there's that, but then there's like I don't know. I just put myself down a lot, and it was like, I don't know. It was just, it's really difficult, and you see all your peers that like ace these classes, and they're like sleeping in class, and they get an A.
It's just like, how the hell did they get A's?
And then I'm like staying up till like 2 or 3 in the morning, like studying, and then I'm barely got like a C-, and I might have to retake the class again. So that was like my first couple years. My GPA was trash. Like, it was so bad. Just like, and like getting my like GEs.
Getting those back,
It was it was hard, and then building that again, and then you start doing research, and then like your imposter syndrome, it just comes back. It's like, I'm no one in my family is doing this. I'm the only Latina here. Like,
what's going on?
Who do I think I am for wanting to do these things?
Yes.
So that was that's its own thing. But yeah, just like learning how to honor that and just
going with it. For me, for, you know, specific parts, you know, my life, it's like what you said, it was like everything. It was a lot of things, you know, but I think I noticed, you know, after my relationship, I hated when men kind of are a little bit more dominant. I would stop it like right quick. I was like, girl. You know, I had a really close friend that was kind of like that. I mean, maybe he didn't realize it, but you know, he felt like he had to always be right, and that wasn't the case. I hope you're watching. But you know, shade, I know, right? But I hated that. I hated when someone had dominance over me as a guy, because it really, if I didn't stop it, I would feel like I would be weak and then just you know, fell alone. But something that was really difficult was relationships. So which was,
we're gonna have a whole episode on relationships.
What's up, dating 101? No, but a year later after my abuse, you know, I met, you know, amazing guy that I knew since I was like a kid. I fell in love with him when I was a kid. So obsessed. And that's my camera guy. But
that's so cute.
Yeah, but I've known him since we were kids. But the thing was so hard because, you know, I felt like it was my fault that he couldn't have, oh my god, that normal relationship. And I couldn't give a lot of things. Like, you know, it's like I have PTSD. So like, if I'm touched in a certain part of my body, I have my episodes, or I get triggers, and you know, I hated myself for so long, you know. And it's just like, I didn't understand why a lot of things in my life I felt like I didn't deserve. I didn't understand that, like, you know, after everything that's gone through, why do I have to be punished for it when it wasn't my fault? Everything I've gone through, like, it wasn't my fault, and I feel like I'm punishing others, you know, like, and being in a relationship with him, you know, going through the same situation, and it's just, you know, thank God he's so amazing. He's so, you know, he's so patient with me and so kind that it didn't bother him and it didn't define him. He didn't see me as that. And I could honestly say I felt like he was the only one that was so close to me that didn't see me that way, like about my past that defined me, who I was, you know. And I appreciated that, but a long time I really blamed myself. And now overcame that, and I'm honestly happy. But it really affected me a lot. And I felt like, you know, I can't be that in a relation. But now that I surpassed that, you know, and everything, now, you know, obviously, like, you know, if it didn't even work out, he's like my best friend. I didn't have anyone like that. You know, I did tell friends and stuff, but he's the only person I've known for so long, so many years, and stood by my side through like thick and thin, and that's something always hard to find, and I'm glad to have that now. But I mean, you're like, oh yeah, Queen, I know, but like, what have you gone through something similar with that?
Yeah, actually, I was starting like a relationship, right? In high school and stuff. And we actually just had this conversation not too long ago.
Oh, really?
And it was starting to get serious, and I ran away because I was like, I do not deserve you. That was the thing. It's like, I have all these like triggers and stuff from like my family and like a bunch of secrets and stuff, right? Yeah. It's not my story to tell, but it shaped me, right? Yeah. So romantically, something kind of like marimo, and then it's like, oop. Bye. Like and then I go find the next shiny thing. Yeah. So I always have like just run away from that. Those, but I think like what you're referring to is like that unconditional love. Like you feel that. It's like you could expose all your like nastiest, ugliest parts, and you know he's still gonna be there. Yeah. So that's like that's what I call unconditional love, and that's like the most healing thing, right? So even though I wasn't with this person throughout these past like 6 years, I still took that lesson, and I needed that to have that lesson for my healing and my journey. Yeah. And we weren't even in contact, but like once I had that when I was like 18 and by myself, I was like, I'm gonna use this time to heal myself so that by the end of this I can be like this partner that he was for me, right? And that I can be able and like have enough space in my heart to be as unconditional for him, because he deserves the world.
That's what I felt. I felt the same way too, because I felt like those people deserve so much better, because I feel so less of myself and not good enough. That's what I felt like. But no, I totally understand you on that level. So the next one I want to ask you is, you know, how difficult was it to stay mentally strong and thrive on the right path? Because Queen, it's hard. Let me just tell you, it's really hard.
Rough. Yeah. It's rough. I'm a pretty curious person, right? So once I see something that's like wrong or like it's like we gotta fix this, I like to go like dive head first. So it's just really lucky that like I went to this great campus where like we have access to like psychological services and a lot of therapists nearby. My last job, we were like coaches and counselors and stuff, and like the whole culture like at work was literally that, like, how can you take care of yourself? How can we learn about this? How can we be there for others? I'm a psych major, so all of my coursework revolved around that. All my professors, if I had an anxiety attack the day of a midterm, I would just call them up and they're like, come on Thursday morning and take the exam in my office. Like, it was just such a really good, and it can improve, because I had a really good experience, but a lot of like my friends and roommates did not have that. But at least like it's improved a lot from when I first started. So having that support really motivated me. And then the fact that my first therapist, when I was 11, in our last session, he said, you're gonna help people. I don't know how. You could be a therapist, you could be a doctor, a politician, whatever, but you're gonna help people, and I see that in you. And I kind of carry that with me forever. So it's like, I don't know what my purpose is or what I'm going to do or what I'm going to major in, but what I'm going to do is help people. And the fact that, like, I'm able to take where I came from and whatever little resources we had at school, and, like, if I'm able to turn that into, like, gold for someone else, if I'm able to have conversations with others to help them on their journey, I'm doing my part.
And you're making that difference.
So doing that and like realizing like it's not just me that I'm helping whatever future partners I have, whatever future children I have, my current like relationships with my parents, roommates, friends, my community. So it's not just me. So having that like bigger goal and like starting that ripple effect that I can start is what keeps me going, because if I don't work on this, I kind of feel like other people aren't going to get access to this.
Exactly.
So it's like, if I'm robbing myself, I'm robbing others, and I can't do that to others. And you want to be able to do it for yourself, but that's a little hack that I'm using. It's like, I want to, like, like go get my master's so that I can like counsel other people, right? Otherwise, if it was just for me, it'd be a lot more difficult to get that. Yeah. I don't know. But just having that, like what I'm doing is I'm just trying to do good for others in whatever way I can.
Which is amazing in itself. I mean, you want to change something in a positive direction. You know, even though you had this part in your life, you're using those, like what you said, using those resources to change, whether it helps one or millions of people. Like, you want to make that difference.
In whatever.
Which, I mean, like, which is so motivating. You get it, queen. Yes. I mean, like, I'm like an actress, does a low budget podcast, what's up, but... No, but that's so amazing in what you're doing and what you're thriving for, and you could see that you're working so hard, even though it's, you know, you're bumping into challenges, you're making sure that it works.
Yeah.
And the next thing I actually want to ask you is, you know, you've gone through a lot, like we just mentioned in this episode. You know, what makes you happy and what makes you love yourself?
Oh, that's
what do you
so
love
wholesome.
about yourself? I know, right? Yes.
Self-love. What do I love about myself? Everything. No, I don't. I love how, like, again, I'm gonna go back to, like, how curious I am. So always, like, if I didn't know how to do something, I was like, ama, no sé cómo tejer. Like, how do you knit? She's like, I don't know. So then I, like, would go on YouTube and I would, like, look at it. And then, like, 2 days later, I'm like, Mom, I'm knitting, and I'm, like, knitting a scarf. Or, like, I don't know how to cook something, or we go to a restaurant and, like, oh, like, I want to make this again, right? Like, I literally... I like to say I'm very resourceful, and I go out and I learn how to, like, do this, or I learn how to connect with this person.
Yes.
So I like that I'm just very curious. I'm so thankful that my hobby, like, one of my favorite hobbies can be translated into career.
Yes.
Right? So learning about self-help, psychology, sociology, like, everything, and then providing that as a service, you don't have to pay me for it. I'm at work. I'm like, oh, cool, I'm getting paid for this, too. Like, it doesn't feel like work. I'm really, really lucky that I can do that. But yeah, just staying curious and always working hard, and then having that, like, strength and faith to kind of let go of some of these, like, oh, you have to, like, get a job and, like, do these things and be, like, an adult. It's like, no, I kind of want to create my own thing, and I want to, like, do something else for other people and think outside of the box. That helps motivate me too. So staying curious.
Helps. And no, after everything we just talked about, you know, on your struggle and your journey, what is some advice that you would like to give someone out there that's watching this episode that you want people to know, or, like, to keep in mind about something?
Oh, I could talk for hours about this.
Like, all right, I'm gonna give you a list. Get ready.
I think ultimately it's, like, I guess I'm very, like, spiritual in a sense. So I'm like, every single person or every single thing that's happening, like, it has a purpose. So you exist for a reason, right? So you're here, and you're gonna provide a unique perspective or a unique thing that no one else in the world can. Because even if you have an identical twin, those, like, they're completely different, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So if it's just you, like, you can provide so much in whatever talent it is that you have, or whatever drive. So yeah, like, you're here for a reason, you're here for a purpose. If you want to make a change, you can do that. Like, you're alive, you're breathing. Unfortunately for a lot of us, the system is designed in a way to prevent us from doing that, which really, really sucks. But we do have, like, some things we can do. So, like, there is social media, or even just being, like, a champion in your own home or in your own relationships, right? So you're here for a reason, you have purpose, you are a source of love, even if you don't feel like you are. Like, once you unleash that, it's, like, the most beautiful thing. So really, like advice would be, like, learn how to foster that unconditional love within yourself, right? So it sounds like that's something you guys kind of have in your relationship. If you didn't know how to do that for yourself, your partner was able to do that for you, right? So now, like, if you can do that, and then if you guys go on and have, like, your other friendships and stuff, you can do that for other people.
It's like a thing to pass on,
so, like, once I had my, like, first run-in with that unconditional love, I was able to turn my pain and hate and, like, use that as healing. And now, like, I was a coach for all these other people and a writing counselor, and I want to continue to do these things. So just that, like, young, like, whatever instance of that, like, it can turn itself into, like, so much more. So you are loved, to, even if you don't feel like it. But learn how to like unleash that in yourself, and then just spread it for good, because we need it.
A lot of people do need it.
We need it in this planet. It's ridiculous.
Because there's a lot of things that are going on, which we probably won't go into it, but there's a lot of things, and it's a very sensitive and hard time, and that's why it's so important now to spread so much love around us, and in our with our families, friends, community, society overall. I feel like it's so important and crucial.
Especially like the Latino community is hurting so much right now. So if you do run into anyone or a child or anything, just love.
Give them love. Exactly. This is actually almost, this is actually the end. Is there actually any questions that you may have or you want to bring forth before we end our episode?
I don't know. I guess, like, how do you feel right now after this? Because we were both very, like, nervous.
I know, okay. For people that don't know. Okay. So before this, actually I met Estrella, like, a couple times, before we filmed this. And, actually coming to this, it was really difficult for me. Because I haven't really been open about, my abusive relationship. Because after, that incident happened, I really closed doors. What's so hard now is because after all these years, I do get questions about, or like people tell me, oh my God, you're doing so much better without him and everything. And then people are like, oh, don't you hate him? He ruined your life. And they say these, like, these horrible things and very insensitive things. It's just like, come on. Like, no, but... Something I realized, after time went by, is just that doesn't define me who I am. It's what I came out of it, and because of what I came out of it, I'm a stronger person from it, and very independent. Honestly, I wish him nothing the best. I know I should hate this man with all my heart and my guts and everything that happened. I just want him to be happy and get the help that he needs, because what we went through and our truth and our story between us, it was a lot, and it was so hard. That's another story for another day. But I was really difficult to open up about that, and honestly, I'm so glad that I did it with I did it with you, because I told my co-host and my camera guy, like, I want to if I'm gonna talk about my story a little bit, I want to talk about with someone that has their own stories, that understands with our background. And luckily I found you, and I'm honestly so grateful. I feel so relieved, because this really does empower me to know that you're not alone, and it's so important to keep aware of that. But how about you?
I feel good. Like again, like, we were both, like, nervous or anxious. It's like, I'm being recorded.
Like, what's going on? Exposed.
Especially because most of the people that are gonna watch this are, like, people we know. Right? It's just the community. It's all, like, our vecinos and, like, our cousins and stuff.
Like, oh, what are they up to now?
But, like, it's so good. Like, we need to start this conversation. Again, like, even the people that seem like they have it really good and stuff, you don't know what they're going through.
Exactly.
And, like, things could be good. Like, there's good changes that are happening. There's good things that could be happening. That doesn't mean that it doesn't affect you. Especially because we're not taught how to deal with emotions, period. Right? Exactly. So, just starting this conversation, I want to do that for, like, my nieces and my nephews that are really young, and
to understand that, to
just start this dialogue, and hopefully this is just the beginning of something we can do. Do for them. So,
I really want to thank you so much for coming out. I really do appreciate you coming out, telling your story, not only to me, but whoever's watching. What's up? Thank you for sticking around.
If you're still watching,
thank you guys are the true homies. Me and Estrella actually list, some resources down below, do you want to talk about some of your resources you actually listed?
So we did talk about some, like, triggering stuff regarding PTSD, abuse, and suicidal ideation. So we did list, like, the national hotlines for that in English and Spanish, and the crisis text line. But also we're gonna list the county of the LA County Department of Mental Health directory. So you just type in your address there, and it has, like, little blue dots of, like, these are the local agencies closest to you. So just call them up. Most of those take, like, insurance and stuff, and they're pretty local,
which is really good. Okay, so this is Across the Tongue signing off. Bye, you guys.